And I am going to,
So wave anyway.
once again, share our screen. Then, this went before.
Did you get the MRI, Brett? No.
Sound like my husband, he needs an MRI on his shoulder,
Great shirt.
like he had an X-ray, he's gone to the chiropractor and the doctor.
What's good?
But it's been bothering him for like 6 months.
It's just a little bit
He
of
needs an
delay.
MRI.
6 months.
He refuses to go.
True talking, I mean, I'm
He's like, I'm fine.
Can I go back and
I'll just
back
play
forth?
every day.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to week 3 of our business plan boot camp. I did check in with Kurt Hirsch, and no one had any homework questions for him. So please feel free to always reach out, even if last week got crazy with the holidays and you could not work on that section of the business plan. He is always available. So same with, all of our speakers. So I am extremely excited and delighted to actually have with us tonight to talk about marketing and especially branding, Tom Laird from Expivia, and he actually owns a call center in town. And everything that he does to really brand himself is absolutely phenomenal. And I cannot wait for him to share everything with you. And I don't know about you, but when he came and we talked with him a couple months ago, I don't have a company, but I wanted to have a company to do everything that he talked about. So I'm sorry and I apologize in advance that he is right before the holidays because he's so empowering that we want to go out and start a podcast tonight. So without further ado, Tom, take it away.
Thank you, lovely energy. Woo! So, real quick, let me get a little, street cred, you guys here, because I was where you guys were. I didn't take over a business. I was a startup. I was the head of call center operations for a call center in Erie throughout the 2000s. And we worked for companies like Bank of America, Citibank, Chase, GE Capital, financial services companies. And then 2008, 2009, 2010 happened, which is the Great Recession, which actually turned into the Great Depression for us. So we lost about 75 to 80% of our business. Had some private equity guys that came in, tried to purchase. They ended up purchasing, saying, hey, everything's going to be fine, everything's going to be great. Well, they fired everybody about 3 months later. So I sat down with about 20 employees at the time, programmers and client service and HR personnel. So what do you guys want to do? And I had about 15 of them say, I'm going to go look for another job. I had about 6 of them, and I'm not sure my math isn't right here, but about 6 of them that said, if you start something will come. And then there was about 3 or 4 of us that said, hey, let's go do this. So did the bootstrapping, friends and family, getting the money, and we started with 4 employees and we've grown it to about 350 right now in here in Erie. So having said that, I want to tell you what we did. So this is stuff that I don't think you're going to find in a book, right? This is kind of real world stuff that I think you can use, that we utilize every single day, from how we've grown our business from a marketing standpoint, from a branding standpoint, with very little capital, right? Just time, effort, and creativity. So let me just start kind of with this, is there's not a better time to be able to market your startup, your pre-startup, your maybe just operating business, right? We have technology that we've never had before. And the other awesome thing is you really only have to focus on one thing, right? And that's this, right? So whether you are B2B, B2C, all you need to do is figure out, how do I get people's attention on this platform? Not to say that you can't use a billboard, you can't use email and direct mail. Those are still kind of important, but what do you do with this? And the other thing that has changed, and Christy and I were just talking about this, is 7 to 10 years ago, you could just go on AdWords and you could do Google search, and you could pay 35 cents, 40 cents, maybe even $1 a click. When we started in 2010, for words like customer service, call center outsourcing. They were all under $1. They were about $35 today, right? Can't do it. So what do? You guys have to decide, and you guys have to figure out not how to advertise, but how you become a voice, right, in your niche, how you become a leader in your space, how you get to the point that people want to come to you every single day, that people are going and logging in and looking at you on YouTube, looking at you on Twitter, finding out what things they can learn from you. So the number one thing that you need to do, and if I had to sum this whole thing up, it's add value, right? Add value in every possible thing that you do. And you will get people to come to you instead of you having to go pay to kind of have their eyes see you. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. And that's how I think you can differentiate your business plan a little bit. And not just talking about, hey, we're going to go do 10 blog posts and we're going to go do, I'm going to spend this much in budget for ads. But to really dig deep into some of the things that I think are going to be really cool for you. So this first 3 slides are boring, so just bear with me here. And then we'll get into some cool stuff, right? So sales versus marketing and your brand building, right? So for me, sales is anything that you want somebody to click, right? Click for more, click to learn more, click to come to this page, click for a sale. Anything that you're trying to get someone to take an action on is more sales, right? You're just kind of saying, this is my value added, I want you to do something. There's a place for that, right? There's a definite place for that. But as you guys are startups and pre-startups, you can't afford that. You don't have the back-end infrastructure from website, landing pages, to email drip campaigns, to back-end fulfillment. You don't have any of that. So what's really the point of that? You should take all of your time right now, right, and look at building brand, right, and more of the marketing side. And building brand is basically adding value on every single platform that you can think about and having people actually learn from your expertise, right? And you can think, I don't really have a lot of expertise. Well, you do. And the cool thing about being a startup or a pre-startup or somebody who's kind of new is that everything you guys do is new. Everything you guys do is interesting, even if you don't think it is. I was thinking about Sarah, right? And how cool would it be even to, and I'm digging deeper into my presentation, but even having a conversation that you record about a button that you want on your platform, should it be yellow or should it be blue, right? Sounds like a kind of something you would think would never be interesting. That's the stuff that people want. That's the stuff that can go viral. And that's the stuff that actually people will start to learn and come back to, right? So think about that kind of as we kind of go here. And here's a really bad analogy that I have, right? I was gonna say sales is like drugs, but I thought that was probably a little inappropriate. But if you can see, it's instant gratification, right? It's a quick rush. All you guys are very analytical. A lot of you people are, right? I was too. So you can measure those things. You know what your CAC is. You know what your cost per impression is. And they're all short-term wins, right? And you get one. You get a sale and you want more, right? So you go searching for sales, and this is all short-term stuff, right? And it's stuff that can be enhanced by your brand, but when you don't have it, it becomes very difficult and extremely expensive. So again, candy for marketing is paid search, paid social, email campaigns, direct response, things that you want people to interact with. Again, that's not an end-all be-all, right? Because there's some things that you can do to engage, but when you're trying to just get somebody to buy something from you or try to get a lead right away, so that's kind of what we're talking about with sales. And your brand is your broccoli, right? It's your healthy diet. It's the thing that, I don't maybe want to do it, but if you eat it and you exercise every single day, right, you're going to outperform those who are not just eating candy. I thought that was actually pretty good, right? Probably better than drugs, right? So again, it's a long-term play. It can be years of work, right? That's why you need to start now. As a startup, as a pre-startup, as somebody who's maybe just evolving their company. The other thing that's difficult with some of this is it's difficult to measure, right? If you put a blog post out there and you pay for it to be searched, you know exactly how many times somebody's looked at it, how many times they clicked on it. if you're just posting a ton of stuff organically, right, and constantly trying to drive videos and just have people view you, right, you can see things organically, but you're not being able to see, did I really do something with this? Is this actually helping me? You just have to trust, just like your broccoli, that it is, right? And I'm gonna get kind of deeper into this. So again, healthy diet is your content marketing. It's podcasts. It's how do I add value? It's blog posts, right? Follower campaigns, and again, adding value. Think of different ways that you can add value. I'm gonna get pretty deep into some of these too that I think it will be kind of interesting to you guys. So this is something that I have found. This is not in any marketing book whatsoever. This is kind of me and what I would have done if I was sitting back with you guys. In a pre-startup mode, I would be posting every single day on every single thing about my company, all the cool startup things that we're going through, all the wins, all the losses. It is granular. If you guys have a conversation with a programmer, record all that stuff, post all that stuff, break all that stuff down. That's all really good stuff. And again, that's how you start to build your brand, right? That's how you start to build name recognition, even when you're not at a point where a sale's not even going to do anything for you. Year 1 through 3, when you're funded or you bootstrap to the point where you can actually start making money, I think you need to shift that a little bit and you get more into the sales aspect. But if you look, really, your branding never ends, right? It's always, I think for me, at least 50%. And even for us, we're about 80% brand and about 20% actually selling right now because we had built this up so much that people are now starting to come. All right, so what should you focus on? And again, I want to focus on brand. I know I've said the word brand about 400 times. Everybody wants to talk about sales and revenue, right? Where's your revenue? Don't talk to me till you have revenue. But in the back of your mind, that's important. But you guys need to start to think through how we can have people think about us and look at us. So, how we can do this from the ground up, no money whatsoever, starting today with just basically your cell phone. So, again, that's kind of redundant. So, you have to turn your thought process and become your own media company, right? And you have to fall in love with the process more than kind of the end result. And when you fall in love with the process, you fall in love with kind of the social process and the content creation process, magical things happen, right? Because it doesn't seem like, oh my God, I gotta go post something. It just becomes a natural aspect of kind of how you do your day all day long, that you're recording certain things that you think, again, this could add value to someone else who's out there. And once you get that process, you create content at scale. What is scale? Like on LinkedIn, so we are a B2B company. I'm posting 10 to 20, most of the time, 15 to 17 times a day, right? So on Facebook, we're posting about 10 to 12 times a day. But because we are B2B, LinkedIn is our baby, right? And we just blow that up. Yeah.
So what time do you post on the day? Are you finding that noon's a good time?
Yeah, so, no, that's a good point. So Mondays are not good. Tuesdays are our best day, right? So, we go about 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and that's where I will load most up and then kind of stagger it throughout. Weekends for us, B2B, stink. But we still post about 4 times, and I'll kind of load up our buffer there. But during the week, we're posting from about 7 o'clock in the morning till midnight to hit West Coast. And I'm going to talk, you're going to be like, dude, I don't have that much stuff. How the heck do I do that? And we're going to talk about that. The other thing I just wanted to throw in here that you need to think about is when we first started doing this, right, it was basically just content, and you guys, it's fine. That's how you start. Just content, we're just going to push it out there. But when you get more advanced, when you create more content, you have to start to think about audiences too. This is almost a presentation in itself, right? But to give an example, and I think I have one here. So for us, and this is a pretty basic example, we decided that we are going to go after kind of 3 audiences. One was new call center managers, right? So people that maybe just got on the floor or they're just supervisors for the first time. They don't really know what's going on. We're doing dictionaries for them, and KPI definitions, kind of how do you monitor, how do you coach, doing all those types of things with videos and blog posts. We just send them out, right? We find out what works. If something works, then we'll go on LinkedIn and I'll just find out, call center managers, call center supervisors. We'll send it to them, give them the content that they want. We look for experienced call center managers, right? And you create content just for them. And then the call center executives who are going to make decisions on actual purchasing, right? ROI improvements. How can we give them better staffing tools? We have found that these guys sit in the meetings with these guys and these guys. So when these guys talk to them, they say, hey, we're thinking about outsourcing. And they're like, hey, there's this awesome dude. I see all of his stuff, right? This has happened like 2 or 3 times. You got to go look at his stuff. And then the call center executive starts following us, looks at our stuff, and we get a phone call. So again, very difficult to say on, if we spend this amount of money, we're going to get this sale. But this is just like a slow, methodical pounding that you can start to do right now. This could be for you guys. Let's say this could be, moms and maybe, 20-year-old females and millennial males, right? And you're creating different pieces of content to match those that, kind of match what your business or what you're looking for. Audience is a pretty cool topic, and again, it's a pretty long topic. I'm not selling anything. I'm not adding any call to actions to any of this. I'm giving it. I'm trying to give away all my best stuff. I don't hide anything. Like literally anything I can possibly think. My people at work hate me because I'm constantly trying to think of stuff. We just did 10 policies that all of our reps had to sign, right, when they're on board. Like literally, we filmed it. This is this policy. This is our no cell phone policy. And I'm like, hey guys, if anybody needs this, let me know. I'll send it to you. That kind of, I guess, in-depth value. So when it comes to channels, you don't have to be everywhere. We've got to be in multiple places. We decided that we're going to use Facebook and Instagram for our employee engagement. So any rep does something awesome, they win a game, anything that we did, somebody does something really good, Facebook, Instagram is basically our go-to for that. Twitter is business thought leadership. Now we have an Expivia Twitter account. We have a Tom Laird Twitter account. And I get a lot of questions on which, personal brand versus business brand. And I think, you can basically post on both. To be honest, the only difference that I do on some of it is instead of, I say I on mine and we on the Expivia one, right? I struggle though on Twitter because a lot of us have multiple lives, right? We have, like I'm a basketball coach. I have a business. I have a family. And my Twitter account sometimes gets a little kind of convoluted with things, so I got to think that through a little bit more, but basically that's kind of what I'm doing there. LinkedIn is my baby, and that's what we crush every single day on the Expivia side and on my personal account. And it's call center thought leadership, business thought leadership. I'll be driving home tonight. I will think of something and I'll just throw it out there and post it. TikTok. TikTok is the greatest organic reach that you can have right now. If you are a B2C company or you're thinking about being B2C, if you're not on TikTok right now, you're making a giant mistake. If you are a B2B company, you need to be on TikTok as well. Please remember, nobody tells you what to do on these platforms. There's no rules, right? So just because there's a bunch of millennial people doing dance moves, doesn't mean that as a see my dance move, Chris? It doesn't mean that you can't go post, a thought of the day, just like you would do on YouTube. Doesn't mean that. You can do anything you want. You don't have to kind of go with that. Now remember, just like Instagram, this thing's evolving and changing. So talk to me in 5-10 years about TikTok, and it's going to be, all the brands are going to be there. It's going to be more business-like. The organic reach is not going to be there. So I can post something right now and get 400 views, which is nothing. But literally post the dumbest thing ever, like 5 of my tweets, in a row, and just have them loop. And that'll get 300 to 400 views. So the organic reach of that is crazy. And then obviously YouTube. You guys should be reporting everything, which we're going to talk about here in a second. I love these masks, they're awesome.
Would you rather have a shield, Tom?
But yeah, I want to look like an idiot.
All right, I'll go grab you a shield.
Thanks. All right, so a couple things, and this is where I think it starts to get fun here, guys, and it's a little bit more creative. And hopefully we can hear some questions with this is, so the first thing is figure out what you're comfortable with, right? So if you're a good writer, write. If you don't feel comfortable being in front of a camera, don't be in front of a camera. Don't do video, it's okay. There's ways that you can just record your voice and you can post that. You can take your voice and make it into a blog, right? So you don't have to do everything. It helps the more that you do, but it's not that important. And the other thing that kind of I just put on the bottom here, because I guess I didn't know where else to put it, is we already talked about I give away everything, like literally anything that we can think of. Post, now on Twitter, everybody says what they need, right? Or says what they think. When it comes to a B2B, I don't know, I probably should ask that question, how many of you guys are B2B or B2C, for your start or what you're thinking about maybe doing. But on the business side, it's all advertising, it's all very sterile, right? So on the LinkedIn standpoint, if you can actually talk, have opinions, your reach goes really, really far. And then the other thing is, and Chrissy, you could probably talk about this probably more than anybody, but don't care what, I live in my parents' basement, 999 says, right? So you're going to get, no matter what, bad comments, right? You're going to get people who disagree. The cool thing about that is on most platforms, if they're engaging, they don't care if they're being negative or positive, you're going to get more reach that way. So think of it that way, right? The other thing is, remember, it's your personal brand. It's not an argument with that dude who's living in his parents' basement, right? So again, you either be really nice, delete it, don't get into an argument on it, right? Especially if it's something that's dealing with your business or what you think is your personal brand. All right, so this is where I think this is the stuff that kind of gets me fired up. So how do we create this content, right? And how do we do all this? And the first thing is, I'm going to go to the next slide. The number one marketing tool that there is right now, beyond everything else, is a podcast. If you do not have a podcast, you need to start one tomorrow. It is the number one way to get reach, to get thought leadership. When Kathy had me do this was, I think, October, right? We're at like 78,000 downloads. I have a podcast called Advice from a Call Center Geek. It is a call center operations podcast. Can you imagine the small niche of that, right? You're only going to listen to it if you're really into call centers and operating in that environment, which is exactly what I want. The more niche your company is, the weirder it is, or the more boring you think it is, the more reason to do this because nobody else is, right? No one else was doing this in the space whatsoever. There's like 6 of them after we started because of what we're doing. This is my setup. I have a $100 Yeti microphone. I have some foam stuff. I recorded with my iPhone. Now I record it with that guy. Because then this gives me video. Oh, thanks. This should be interesting. How's that?
Way better.
I can't stress this enough. This has changed our business, beyond anything that we've ever done. If you took away every single social media platform, and you said, Tom, I can only do one thing, that would be it. Let me tell you another reason why it's important. We all know that we're starting to listen, podcasts are booming, you kind of get that piece. The other thing is everybody's now has a voice kind of Alexa, right? They're all talking to it all the time, right? Another reason that that audio is so very, very important. What's going to happen is those things are going to become more intuitive. And people are not going to go to Google search, right? They're just going to talk to it, right? And again, that's another reason why brand is important and why being on the audio platform is so vitally important. Yes?
Which platform do you use for your podcast?
So I use Buzzsprout, is where we upload to. And the cool thing about that is too, is it's like an extra $3 and they do all the soundproof warming too. So I use Audacity to record, totally free. I paid somebody like $15 on Fiverr to record an opening or an intro. So it's, I got like somebody who announces me every time. And then I go into my spiel. Each episode is about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, once a week. You should be doing it at the same time every time, but I don't. But I do it once a week. The other cool thing is if you don't know what to say, right? Because my podcast, I have a lot of call center stuff to talk about. But let's say you are just starting, then you bring people on and you do interviews and you become the kind of the cool place with the party, right? So they're going to want to come to you, right, to be part of that party. So even if you don't, like I think I would love to do, or Christy, I was thinking about you again when I saw the name. Like if there could be an Erie business leader, an Erie worker, an Erie team, some type of Erie podcast. I mean, it's kind of been done, but not at the point of that it's scale and really cool.
Yeah.
I think, and the other thing is at the library, there's a free studio there that you can record your own podcast. So again,
And the SBDC is opening one up down in the basement.
oh, nice.
Radius
Yeah.
has one, so does Cam. There's so many options for recording. That's awesome.
Yeah, because I was actually asking because I have a podcast right now too that I use like my own little thing. And I currently use like Anchor.
Yep.
The same thing, uploads for free.
Yep.
And then for me, being like the startup phase, it's all like super expensive. So I've been using Zoom whenever I interview my friends and stuff. Free audio because it's just one
Absolutely.
person. Upload the Anchor and it goes to Spotify. So,
Excuse me, that was gonna be my question, because
so
I've got my guests lined up.
yes. So for me, I know like with Zoom, it's just like two people.
Yeah.
You get like over an hour for free. Like usually they charge me like free. So I use Zoom. I record it. It gives me a video that I use for like marketing, promoting, and the audio goes right down to your computer.
And that's awesome too, because when you record, then you can cut it, and that gives you not one piece of content, but you can get 20 pieces of content out of that. Right? That's just a question and answer, boom, done. So it's thinking that through and kind of going back to this guy. So like for us, we do our podcast, we record it with video as well. If I do like a top 10 list, right? Top 10, like I did top 10 uses for speech analytics, right? Each of those 10 become 10 videos. We take the podcast, we create a blog post from it. From that blog post, then we rip those 10, they become LinkedIn posts, right? From those LinkedIn posts, we then take that content, create tweets for it that go back to the blog. And so you're creating this kind of trickle-down effect of content, and this is evergreen stuff, right? So you're going to use this again and again and again. It's not a one-and-done thing. Like if I go through a week and I'm like, dude, I'm just not feeling it right now. I'll go back to my January stuff, my February stuff, my March, and then I'll load my buffer stuff up. Because most people have forgotten about it, or the other people have never seen it. So it constantly stays in there. And then the cool thing with Instagram is that you can create a picture on Visme or Canva and have it go back to all of your stuff for your blog posts, or even if you have LinkedIn content, that kind of stuff. So again, it's just a rinse and repeat of what you feel comfortable with as your pillar content. If video is your thing, then take video, take the audio from the video, make that your podcast, right? And then take your take the audio then and make that your blog post. So it just depends on what you feel comfortable with. Do that, have that in your pillar, and then rip it from there. So to go kind of, I guess, one more step into this. So we talked about the podcast. The other thing that we've done that's just awesome that all of you should do is we took all of our blog posts and then reformatted it and made a book, right? It's called More Advice from a Call Center Geek. You can self-publish for free on Amazon. So literally, I just upload my stuff to Amazon. They give me a cut out of every single one that they do. They just one-off print them. And I make like, it's not for the money, but it's like $350, $400 a month of doing nothing. Yeah.
Have you thought about doing any ebooks or anything like that?
That's awesome content, right? So that's more your long form kind of blog post, kind of that type of content. And that's the stuff that I would say, if you want to post 20, 15 times a day, that's cool. But if you create and you've taken the time to create an ebook, create a long form blog post, right, then you can do less, right, if you're doing that high quality stuff. Yeah, no doubt. But I mean, and basically, this is kind of what it is. And then what I'll do is like on Christmas, I'll say, hey, for a Christmas present for all my LinkedIn friends, here's the PDF of it, because you can upload the PDF to LinkedIn. It's totally free. It's 120 pages. You know, happy Merry Christmas, right? And I'll do that like 3 times a year. Because I don't really care about the $300 a month. Just another piece of really cool, really good content. It's now become like a business card, right? So anybody who is a lead and they talk to me, next thing you know, I put my business card, staple it, send them a book. So, and all that came from was blog posts that we created, came from the podcast, just another way to reuse that content. And you get all your friends to give you like 5 stars. So that's a really cool way as well to generate more. And then the other thing is video. And I've tried so many stupid things. So anytime that I speak, obviously I'm recording it, ripping it. We kind of talked about that. This is supervisor roundtables, which can be programmer roundtables, which can be you talking to somebody about startup funding that will be on there with you, right? We're recording all of this stuff, posting it. This is some of our best stuff, or that goes, I don't want to say viral, but it gets the most organic look, and we boost all of this stuff because it's actual supervisors talking about real call center stuff, real world stuff. So again, from a programmer standpoint, or wherever you are, whatever you're trying to do with your business, that's really cool. I even tried to do failed miserably. I read my book by the fire. I read a chapter at night and posted it. Didn't go very well, but I tried it. And then, like, I'll do a daily call center tip of the day that literally is in my car, driving to work, talk for 30 seconds, post, right? And then if I want to get creative, we did just hire about 6 months ago, we hired a new, she's a 3D animator from RIT who kind of helps with the content now, so then things are starting to get a little bit prettier. But guys, for the first 6 years, it literally was just, you know, record, post, nothing crazy. I think people get so caught up with the technology and the tools that they forget no one cares if the content's good, right? They kind of like, well, I can't do it because I don't have a really good camera. I'm going to get a camera though in 2 weeks, right? And that's what holds them back. When everybody has a phone, right? And they can use those kind of tools. So again, get creative. Don't do what anybody else is doing. Try to think of unique ways that you can show what you're doing. And that's the stuff that people actually really care about. So a couple things, because I love LinkedIn so much, and the organic reach on LinkedIn is still super crazy. If you post on LinkedIn right now without an account, if you just set up an account, I mean, that thing's going to be looked at by over 100 people, right? The next day, which you can't find on Facebook, you can't find on Instagram anymore. So if you are B2B, you should be on LinkedIn right now. You should be posting as much as you possibly can, but just, again, probably a little bit too in-depth, but I thought that this was important. So all the stuff that I have found and then researched and kind of, it's been agreed with me is, so use the long form post, which basically means just type, right? So you get 1,300 characters, go to town on that. There's a way that you can type and create articles, but they've kind of gotten away with that, so the organic reach is terrible. Don't post off-platform links, right? So if you have a YouTube video that you want to throw on there, put it in the comments section. Don't put it into the meat of the post because it's taking them off the platform, which then kills your organic reach because their algorithm kills it. So that's something that's stupid, again, but true. Upload directly to the platform instead of, again, doing the LinkedIn or the Facebook post, or the YouTube links. And the long form text and pictures work best. And that by far gives us the most organic reach. That's why we take blog posts, create pieces of that content, have a picture that we're going to do for our blog post. And that's the stuff that is boring, but does the absolute best. Only 3 hashtags, or the algorithm thinks it's spam. Same thing with if you at somebody. You're looking to do only 3. And then this is a Gary Vee, this is not a Tom Laird, but this is the way that it definitely works. And it's the way that I started on LinkedIn, and it's called the 180 rule. And it's basically going on LinkedIn, going on Instagram, going on Facebook, whatever for your business the preferred social channel is. And as much as you possibly can, up to 90 posts, put your 2 cents in. Means comment, right? Comment on, try to get to 100 posts a day. I know that sounds like a lot, but I mean, how many times are we just sitting in the car, we're sitting on the couch, that we can just scroll and we see things. Now just search a hashtag that's in your business or some type of niche that you have and comment and have a legitimate comment like, hey, I really like that in paragraph 3 when you talked about this, right? And that's how organically you can grow followers extremely quickly. It's quickly, but it's work, right? And then the last thing that I wanted to say too, anytime a platform comes out with a new tool, use that tool. Like LinkedIn just came out with stories. And stories, the organic reach in it is pretty good because they're trying to use it, right? So if Facebook comes out, if Instagram comes out, when they come out with those new things, try to be one of the first users to it, because you'll find the most success. And then Twitter, we're trying to do 7 to 10 a day. And again, Twitter becomes literally my brain, right? Like thrown out. Any type of thoughts that happen during the day. And then we're trying to take, again, the LinkedIn post that we did from the blogs and also post them, I'll post them there. And then, again, we kind of already talked about this, staking your claim on TikTok. It's really, TikTok and LinkedIn are the only places right now that have crazy organic reach that you don't have to pay for, that if you're constantly posting, you can develop followers really quickly. Everywhere else you gotta pay, right? You gotta pay to boost, especially Facebook right now, any type of AdWords, any kind of that stuff. So a couple things, and I know this is really wordy, and I probably should have made it prettier, but just to give you some ideas of things to do that maybe you're not thinking about, is, again, I have the book, and every once in a while, we'll just highlight a bunch of stuff in the book, take a picture, that's a post, that's content. I just did a big dry erase board session on skills-based writing, which you don't care about, but from a call center standpoint, people actually, they're wondering how that works, and took 20 minutes and whiteboarded how that works. So I think, for you guys too, whiteboarding what your product does, whiteboarding some of the aspects of what you're doing, what problems are you trying to solve. That's a good way to use video, and it's still kind of interactive instead of you just being a talking head. Ask questions. Questions engage. I love dinner and group discussions. One of the best things I ever did was I was at a conference, and there was a CEO of one of the other telephony companies, and I said to him, I'm like, hey, listen, I will buy you a steak dinner if you and all the wine you want, and tonight for a half hour you sit with me at dinner, and for the first time before we get into the wine, we can have a talk on call center nerd stuff. I mean, he did it, and basically I just set up the camera, we had dinner, we talked about the state of the industry, and I got to post it, and I got a quote unquote interview. It cost me $200 to buy a dinner, but still things like that. Group discussions, we kind of talked about that. Podcast. BizMe is a pretty cool Canva too. Canva's free, where you can create infographics, right? So if you come up with top 10 lists, if you come up with certain things like that, to just create those top 10 lists and put them into a graphic form, that's cool. And then again, that's another piece of content, and then you can rip all those and have a bunch of pictures. That kind of deal with it. Pictures of your tweets are really cool. What's that?
How do you do the picture of the tweet?
So literally you've seen them, like take a picture of your tweet and then post it on Instagram or post it on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I see them all the time.
Yeah.
Screenshot, and then you just.
Oh, how? Yeah, you just screenshot it with your phone,
Yeah.
and then you can just kind of edit it and shrink it. And then like what I have done then too is take like 10 of those, right, and then create a video on TikTok that'll just scroll it. Or you can screen record your phone. Like we'll take like all of our blog posts, and because when they're on their phone, it's all in one line. So I'll be like, hey, check out all of our blog posts that we've had, and I would just record my screen and just keep scrolling all the way down so that every single one was on there. Like we've done that. We have 95 podcasts, so it looks really cool when you're just like, boom.
Yeah.
Like look at all the content you're missing out.
How do you screen record a video?
Your phone has this. You have an iPhone?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has you can record.
Just
There's a tool on it.
go up like you're going to your flashlight. Just go up. There's a little circle with a circle inside of it.
Pull down from the top.
Okay. No,
It's a little circle with another circle.
I don't know. Do you have a different?
She's gotta change it in her.
Right, you gotta add it.
You gotta add it in her settings. I can do it for you later.
What are we adding?
That's-
Sorry, it's right
You
there.
I don't know how to use my
don't have it, you can add it.
use.
But yeah, once you change it.
You'll
Yeah.
get questions later, or?
It just-
I don't
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I don't want to.
Yeah, no, you're right. So, and guys, I'm almost done here too. So, and I think really honestly, this is the last thing, and this is the handout I will get to you guys, and I think
I haven't, I printed it.
Oh, you did, okay. So this is one of the tools. This did not come from me. We did a content creation workshop, and it became one of the really cool ways that I thought through different audiences, kind of what we talked about at the beginning, and then creating content for those different audiences. So, and this is something, if you ever want to do it with me or want to talk about it, like the first thing is creating your North Star, right? What is a one-liner, what your business is about, kind of like your mission statement, but kind of tag it down, and obviously not things like we're to make as much money as we can, right? But what is your actual value proposition that you're trying to solve, right? And then basically, what are your proof points? What are the cool things of how you're doing it? Are you eco-friendly? Do you save time? Are you saving money? What is some of the benefits of using what you're using? And then I think the really important piece of this is to think about your audience, right? And I think all of you guys, when you're just starting your marketing process, right, is coming up with who are the groups, who are the individuals, who are the demographics, or what are the audiences that we really want to go after first. And then what you can do is basically take your audiences, take your proof points. So let's say that this is save time, save money, and eco-friendly, right? And then create content for each of your audiences that are based on those types of things. And test that out, and test it organically. And then when you get a couple likes, and you get a couple people commenting, then you say, you know what, I think that there's something here. And then you're gonna take and make 3 or 4 more pieces of content based on that proof point. And then when you do have $100, or you do have $50, or you want to test and you want to boost something, that's the stuff then that you put the money behind. So we just do not, and I couldn't do it, and we still can't afford it, to go through and just randomly boost all of our content. But we try to do all of our content organically. And then we decide the winners. We try to then spruce up the winners, make them as cool as we can. If it's a blog post that really worked, we're gonna make sure that thing maybe goes a little bit more long form, right? And then we're gonna put some money behind it on the platforms that we think are gonna be able to be seen. I mean, I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know here, but LinkedIn, the really cool thing is you can pinpoint to really any type of job title, any demographic. So if you're looking for, engineers that work on C++ in the state of Pennsylvania that are 22 to 60, you can create content just for those people, right? And boost it so that they just see that. And I think that's the power of the social platforms. Again, this is a whole other kind of discussion. But why it's better, and we can do that on an AdWords format, right? But you don't really know who's going to see it, where you can really drill down on the social networks. So again, I think that this is a pretty cool exercise to at least get you to think. And when you're talking about, I have this content where I'm creating it, or I'm thinking about it, who should I send it to, or where should it go to? And that's what I got for you guys. I would love for you to follow me on LinkedIn. Even if you don't care about call center stuff, you'll probably get a lot of it, but you can at least see what we're posting, how we do it, how we try to engage as well. And then I would say that's kind of the best, and then obviously I'm on Twitter as well, but LinkedIn is I think we are a really good example of kind of how to do that. Do that pretty well.
I learned another LinkedIn tip today.
Yes, go.
That in commenting, make sure you use over 5 words, because LinkedIn doesn't see it as real engagement if it's less.
That's awesome. So 5 words when you comment.
At least.
At least 5 words.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
The
good to know.
presets are 1 or 2 words.
Right, like you say, hey, nice job, or something,
Yeah.
that's not gonna count. Okay, that makes sense. Any other questions? I know we've kind of been going as we've gone through, but, yes.
Yeah, so I heard you talk about, how much quantity of content that you put out a day. I'm really interested in the quality versus quantity argument.
Yeah.
So do you feel in posting as much as you do that your quality is somewhat diminished as opposed to if you just focused on it?
I have a really strong opinion on this. I think quality is an excuse for not posting.
Okay.
So do I want to post garbage? No, right? I don't, right? But I would prefer you to post something that you're not sure about over taking the time to do it, because the people who are on the platforms are going to judge it, right? And if nobody's going to look at it and nobody comments on it and nobody likes it, no one's going to see it anyway, right? Now, to your point, if you create long form cool stuff, right? Ebooks, long form blog posts, if you really take your time and you're doing 4,000 word things, you can post less, because that stuff's going to really, really engage. But I find that to be more difficult than posting, because I'm not totally creating everything. I'm creating one thing and then ripping from it. Okay.
Letitia has her hand up.
Yes.
So Letitia, would you like to unmute yourself, please?
Sure. Hi.
Hi, Letitia.
I am opening a dance studio. So this is like totally right where I'm supposed to be, as far as like the podcast, and kind of like you said, documenting everything, video recording everything as I'm blooming into the launch of the business. I'm not that tech savvy yet though. So I guess in layman's terms, I'm like, where do I begin even with this?
Right. And this is I would tell you to take an hour, take 2 hours, go on YouTube, right? Forget LinkedIn. For you are all Facebook, you are all Instagram, right? And you don't need to do anything other right now than to take your phone, create content, and go post it on your Facebook page. Like literally that easy, right? And because it's a dance studio, because it's local, you're gonna get a lot of feedback, right? And you're gonna get an organic reach that I think is gonna be okay for you. And then you can talk very easily. There's on Facebook and Instagram, it's probably the easiest platform to literally press the boost button, right? And you can boost content. So basically, they're gonna show you a radius. You're gonna be able to put in some demographics of what age groups you wanna hit, and then you put a little bit of a budget in. And it doesn't have to be this arduous kind of going into the ad deck and the ad console, right? It's just basically doing it all on the Facebook page. But for you, I would keep it super simple. I would take as many videos. You have really cool stuff, right? You have cool content just in itself because of the business model, right? And just be posting that stuff on your Facebook page, on your Instagram page, and then go from there. But there's nothing that we can't learn, right? And you guys are here to learn. So if you took 2 hours on YouTube, right? So just talking about Facebook posting and Instagram, that's what I would spend some time on. And then you can talk to me too, and we can definitely, I can definitely help you out.
Thank you.
Sure. Yes.
And what would your opinion be on, so I'm a startup and I mostly will probably just be Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
As I'm opening a nail studio
Yeah.
and developing a nail lacquer line. Should I don't have a business page yet, but do you think it would be better to just convert my personal pages to business pages, or start a new one and then promote on my personal?
No, I would start a new one.
Okay.
I would definitely do your company's and then figure out, because your personal is going to be your friends, your family, right? You're going to get a whole different group of people that you might not want on your personal, right? On your.
Well, I was thinking more so it would just become the business one, because on Instagram you can archive all, and then I would just make it public, but because I already have followers.
No, what I would, and here's the other thing too, is that you cannot do certain ad things on your personal that you can do on the business.
Okay.
Right, so I would definitely start that, and then I would do something like, hey guys, for all my, go to your personal page, and for everybody who goes and follows us on this, you're gonna get 5% off, right? Or some kind of,
Right.
or I'm gonna do a drawing for a Hershey bar, whatever, right? Just something that basically is telling them, hey guys, go over there and like this and follow this.
Okay.
But no, I would do it separately for sure. And I struggle with that, right? I struggle with that with the, like even with LinkedIn, with our Expivia page, and then with my personal, and then even, kind of going through those. And I have such a good LinkedIn following now that I'm trying to get them on Instagram, right? And trying to move them to Facebook. So I'm kind of going through some of that too, but I think it's important to
Okay.
keep them. Yes.
So my biggest problem is I do all the social media marketing and creation and like content creation, all that stuff myself.
Okay.
So how many people do you have working strictly on just content creation?
Just me.
Just you?
And now I have somebody who is helping. So, but for the first 7 years, so I would create as much as I possibly could during the day, right? So I would video, I would blog, I'm doing the operation stuff, and any kind of dead time that I had. And then what I would do is at night, right? I would make things look pretty when I'm at home, when I'm sitting on the couch. Like I wasn't watching Netflix, or wasn't trying to just do anything I possibly could, because I started to enjoy the process of it, right?
It's a good
fun,
thing. It's so fun.
right? And then when you get some feedback from people too, it's awesome. So then I would take, and what we still try to do is I use Buffer, right, for our social. So we basically load up, we can load up and schedule posts in Buffer so that you're not constantly all day long doing this, right? So we'll schedule normally about 7, 8 posts a day during the week. And then I just basically, with things that come up during the day, with what other people are talking to me about, or with, I'll grab information from one of our departments, and then I will post the other, 5, 6 of them a day. So literally, I probably only post myself 5 times a day on LinkedIn, but then I have Buffer do my other 7 of them that are scheduled for the week.
So how much does Buffer cost?
It's like $10 a month. Yeah, it's nothing. And then look at that, look at TweetDeck. I'm not sure if that's a little bit cheaper, but there's a couple different platforms that you can use to schedule your posts. And really it depends, to be honest, if you're just using 1 or 2, it's probably free. But when you get to like 6 accounts or 6 different channels, anything else, guys?
Lots of questions, I just want.
Yeah.
I'm using the term because your pyramid kind of answered part of my question, but I'm going in a different direction about it. All clicks created equal, right? Have you ever reverse engineered, and it's like a bunch of keyboards, and eventually you find what's really return on investment worthy, you start hitting that key a little harder?
Yeah.
Have you found that money-making approach method or particular platform that you just keep hitting that because there's definitely a connection to ROI, or is that still just a massive wave?
Yeah, and it's not hard to say, but I can't tell you enough about the podcast because, and I'm going to answer that part of the question, but let me just answer it by saying this first, is there are so many people that I am getting. So I started almost a side hustle that is people calling me and saying, hey, we want to change our platform, our call center platform, right? So there's different call center platforms, obviously. There's software that people are using. And can you recommend, I heard your podcast on call center technology. Can you recommend a good? And so I've become a referral partner with all these other companies, and the amount of money that they pay was crazy, right? So there's aspects of that, right? That now when I hear certain things on the podcast, I make a couple more episodes and I'll do that. But when we boost something, so when I see organically something works, right? And I say, hey, let's really spruce this post up. Let's spruce this piece of content. We did a term dictionary, call center, like 40 pages of call center, terms and KPIs and things, right? And that killed it. It killed it from a point of organic reach, paid search. We got a ton of views socially in SEO. I can't tell you directly because we did not do it to the point of, I have such a long sales cycle, right? Being a B2B company, that I can't just go and see really where somebody clicks. So all mine is leads, right? So my podcast and that has become the top of my sales funnel, right? And basically, it's not a sale for me, that's the ROI, it's the lead for me is my sale, right? So from what we're looking at on those posts that we're boosting, I'm trying to get as many of those guys into my sales funnel as possible, so then I can start to call them, I can start to talk to them. So yes, you're definitely gonna find some pieces of content that you're like, dude, this works really well, I'm getting a ton of engagement, people are calling me, asking me about it, and then you wanna create just little nuances off of it, and just keep doing it. So I don't know if that answers your question.
No, that was exactly what I was looking for. There's another thing that I don't think was stressed on an earlier slide that I'm going to put another set of words to. And for, I think, the room at large and the ones online, you had a slide about how you place and do your meeting. You had a layout of who you were going after, what topic areas. To me, that's your whole marketing strategy. How did you approach your marketing strategy to come up with that slide? Because I think that would be really helpful for this group to know how to come at a marketing strategy. That's an awesome slide. That's a lot of, you really know.
You're doing
Sorry.
it.
Yeah, I mean, it basically is, and then, I have another one that's down here, that kind of goes into the content creation of figuring that out. But I think the main point of this is obviously know what your differentiators are, right? And then people don't think about their audiences, right? And even if you don't have an audience, you need to choose an audience, right? If that makes sense. Like for you, for nail salons, right? Your audience could be every female in the world, theoretically. But you know what? I'm going to create content for grandmas.
You don't have to exclude the male population.
Well, I'm sorry. Female males of the world, right? I'm sorry. But you know what I mean. So, and I can do, grandmas and grandpas that are 60 to 70 years old, and create content just for them to maybe, bring their grandchild to your shop, right? And then go test that, right? So it's not like, what is my audience? Like for B2B, it could be more, what audience is going to buy from me from a B2C, because a lot of times it's such a range of people. You choose your audience to then go market to and test what works. And then that's what you put your money behind. I think B2C is way more fun to market than B2B. Like I'm in the B2B world, but there's so many creative, awesome things that you can do from a B2C standpoint, where you can actually choose your audience and choose your content and create different nuances to that. Yes.
Another one. So this is a little bit of a shout out to Sarah and you. You both are very active on LinkedIn. I have both of your feeds. But I'm old fashioned in general, but what I really gravitate to LinkedIn for is there's constructive, educational, and positive content. Mm-hmm. You guys are both very positive and educational. What I can't stand about some of the other platforms when I used to go on them is all the negativity and all of the stuff that isn't quite sound, right? There's really wild feedback that comes to play on some of those. Aside from LinkedIn, because I think you guys kill it on LinkedIn, what is another positive platform? If people want to continue to put their brand out there in a positive way. Facebook seems like the Wild West to me. What's the next positive platform?
Well, I think if you just look, Brad, if you look organically and you just go on, I agree, right? But if I'm going to say, hey, I have a B2C company, I'm on Facebook, I'll forget LinkedIn. And Facebook becomes, and Instagram become, my home. And I'm going to find demographics and choose that. So it's different for a user like you to go on and say this. But when I'm going to go pinpoint exactly who I want to see this, right? I'm not going to say I don't care about that. But again, yes, if I'm just throwing stuff out there organically, maybe that comes into play. But that's the LinkedIn for B2C. right? And when you talk about a positive, it's social media. I mean, it's brutal, and LinkedIn can get bad too. Again, I think I don't do it, Sarah doesn't do it, Sarah's trying to build her personal brand.
She's very
And I'm
good.
trying to build my personal brand. I'm not gonna go fight and argue and tell somebody they're an idiot. So Twitter's a different platform. There's a slide, and everybody's seen it, and I didn't put it in, and I probably should, and they had all the platforms, and kind of like if all the platforms were at a party, like what would they do? Like Twitter would be like talking about other people, right? And I should have put that one in there where, so yeah, it's just, there's different nuances to each of them, right? But to sum it down, to make this as easy as possible, if you're B2B, you need to be on LinkedIn. If you're B2C, you need to be on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, and then we're looking at, some other things that are out there coming out too. But for a startup right now with limited resources, with limited budget, it's B2B is an awesome place to be because of the organic reach of LinkedIn. If you are B2C, I would say TikTok as well because the organic reach of TikTok is so crazy, where you can post and you can be creative and you're not gonna have to pay for it, right? Facebook, you're gonna have to pay for it or no one's gonna see it.
And on TikTok, you can boost yourself,
You can still boost.
right? There's what is it? Every day or everyone, there's like a hashtag everyone.
Correct.
And if it gets picked up, like my boat coming out of the water, me crying, got picked up because someone said, hey, do hashtag everyone or whatever. And so I got.
Happy Roach is going viral on TikTok. But that's what I'm saying on that platform. Believe it or not, there's more people on there than there are people creating the content, even though it seems like there's a ton of people. So LinkedIn is the same way. It seems like there's a lot, but there's more people that are not creating content that are viewing. So they're trying to boost it to get it to more people. Now that's going to change, right? And then you're going to start to pay for TikTok, and it's going to go like Instagram, and you're going to have to pay for it as well. So stake your claim, get as many viewers, get as many followers as you possibly can, without posting anything dumb on TikTok. I think that's a huge place that you can make something run, especially B2C. Yes,
Would
sir.
you mind sharing that slide with us?
No, I will definitely, yeah.
Okay, yeah, if you send it to me, I'll send it out to everybody.
Like B2C marketing to me seems pretty intuitive because we see it every day. We're constantly being marketed too, so we kind of pick up on how to do that on our own. But B2B in my mind is always about when we market an offering to another business, about like what can we do for you as far as your ROI, increasing your sales, maybe employee retention for my specific business. But how do you, when you do B2B marketing, how does your emotional driven content do as opposed to just how we're going to boost your business and make your business do better? Do they pick up on that as well, humor, et cetera?
So I think it's a really good point. And again, I think the B2C aspect, you can be a little bit more creative with that stuff. For B2B, for me, that's where the content comes into play, right? So very little, and I would say probably 15% of what we do will actually be a emotionally driven advertisement with a call to action to lead gen to get a 15 minutes overview, or to me to have to call you, right? Like literally, I'm telling you, listen, here's the deal. And it's very difficult, right? And so I think, again, from the B2B standpoint, the content even becomes that much more important, and that you're actually really creating value so that people are coming back to you. Because there's so many decision makers in a B2B, right? You want to try to get as many people on board and following and listening to you, because that one procurement person or that one person who's sending that RFP out or that RFI out, it's very difficult to just say, here's one piece of content that's an ad, click on it and come buy my product, right? I mean, Sarah's going to go through that too, right? It's not just going to be this one person. It's a long sales cycle, right, where you're going to do demos. And then they're going to say, wow, I like that. Can my boss see the demo? And then that person's going to see the demo. And then they're like, hey, can we just try this piece of it? Hey, can you send us the bill? Or what's the invoice going to be? And then they negotiate that. So, it's not a B2C can be a click. I'm coming to your store. I'm going to go do my thing. I get this discount or that. B2B, you need to have a brand, right, that people trust, that people are coming to. That's my opinion. And then, you can go after some of that maybe lower hanging fruit when you see that. But I mean, it's very difficult to run AdWords, to run any type of search paid search on a B2B platform like no one's ever heard. Thanks, guys.
Anybody online have any questions? Unmute yourself.
Hello.
Marva?
Hi. My name is Marva Morris, and I have to actually advertise to both B2B and B2C. And my website is currently designed for B2B. I'm toying with the idea of adding a landing page that will address B2C, but I feel conflicted all the time, every time I do any type of social media, as to whom I should be advertising to. Do you have any ideas on how to separate them? Because when consumers go to my website for my brand is Zen Edge Energy Drinks, www.zenedgeusa. Whenever people go to my B2B website, consumers aren't motivated so much, but they are motivated by my social media posts. And I spent, a lot of money.
What do you sell B2B? So is it like more wholesale then, or just companies buying the product?
Pardon me?
Is it, so with your product, you would be B2C, just selling to a consumer that wants to buy, I'm sorry, it was a drink?
Yes.
And then you would have businesses that may want to buy like in bulk or buy more. Is that kind of the?
Well, the brand is currently, we're in Walmart.com, we're a couple of places. So we're trying to expand and start working more with food distributors. So we try to focus it on B2B so that when a business would come to our website, they could learn more about who I am, what the company is about, how the product is manufactured, more about the quality of the brand. Just as you said earlier, content, we try to have content.
Mm-hmm.
When I advertise to consumers, they don't want to hear about content. So where do you do both on the same platform, or do you have two separate?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, first of all, from your website, I think that you could very easily, have, your regular website that maybe you are talking about the product, right? And then have a branch off somewhere, right? Where you're going to take your B2C people or your B2B, and then they go to their own home, right? I think that's easy. But I would say, yeah, you should definitely be creating content on platforms. And really, although this may be a B2B sale, I think Facebook is still probably, because of the type of product that you have, a really good place where you could do both. But I would definitely say that you have two specific audiences that you should be creating two specific pieces of content to. Maybe having two specific URLs that they go to your website, right? That one is the B2C, one is the B2B. So maybe if you want to kind of get past all the B2B stuff for the B2C guys. But yeah, you definitely cannot do a one size fits all from a content standpoint.
Okay.
Because I think that'll cause a lot of confusion. And I don't think you're hitting the mark then if you do that.
All right, thank you.
Ken, any questions? Not to put you on the spot. Anybody else here? Oh,
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Tom.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you very much.
So are you gonna hand out, what do you have?
I'm gonna hand out now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Also, your poll, we tend to